Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people are expecting 100k Bitcoin in the next bull market. Crypto Crew University, a YouTube channel with 300,000 subscribers, has come out and said he's only expecting 79k Bitcoin. He's expecting that top to come in late next year, and he's expecting Bitcoin to enter a 10-year-long sideways accumulation period with no significant bull markets and no significant bear markets after that. Huge claims, right? His whole kind of prediction is predicated on a trend he's found on the Bitcoin chart and on the underlying principle that the majority is always wrong. Now, I viciously disagree with him, okay? And I'm going to be telling you exactly why in this video. I'm going to be offering some kickback on his position and seeing what he thinks. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Guys, we currently have a VIP sale going on. Go to Telegram and check out the VIP information and results group. From that group, you will find the sale details. This is a limited time sale until the end of the year and the start of 2024. So take advantage of that now. You can get $75 discount on the maximum 1-year membership at this point in time. So definitely a time to do it if you want to. Check that out. It'll be down below. Let's get into the content. Guys, I want to address, as I mentioned in the introduction, Crypto Crew University's video over here on the right-hand side of the screen. Everyone is wrong about 100k Bitcoin. This is what will happen instead. Now, this is a video that gained 80,000 views, and he uses a trend, okay, something I like to call the 5.3 trend on Bitcoin, which predicts that Bitcoin will essentially go to 79k in the next bull market. And he actually thinks the next bull market is happening right now. He thinks this is a bull market for the most part, and he thinks this bull market will top out in late 2024 or early 2025. And then he thinks Bitcoin will go sideways, okay, basically enter a bear market, not see any new all-time highs for 10 years after that, until something like, the 2030s. So again, he's expecting 79k Bitcoin top, okay, in 2024 or early 2025, which is, not relevant to the 4-year cycle theory at all. He's basically assuming the 4-year cycle is going to end because the 4-year cycle predicts a top in 2025, late 2025. And then he's saying that Bitcoin will be in a bear market, basically. He didn't use the word bear market, but essentially what he's implying is that it's going to be in a bear market, sideways price action for 10 years, a full decade. So huge claims, right? Huge claims. And we mentioned them in the introduction. We're going to get into them again today, because just because a claim is big, it doesn't mean it's wrong, okay? I don't disagree with his claims because they're big. I disagree because I don't think they're supported, okay? And people are going to jump down my throat here. Now, I've done a video on Crypto Crew in the past. I did a video over here 4 months ago on Crypto Crew addressing his 79k top prediction. But now he's kind of added this 10-year bear market kind of prediction to his observation. So this is a new thing, right? He previously didn't really say anything. I don't recall him saying anything. At least he might have. I could be wrong there, about a 10-year sideways pattern on Bitcoin. Deep into the 2030s. He didn't say anything about that. He just kind of said things about the 79k top. Again, I could be wrong there, but I at least didn't address that. Now I'm going to be addressing both things. I'm going to be addressing the 79k top, why I think it's wrong, and I'm going to be addressing why I think he's wrong about a 10-year consolidation on Bitcoin without any all-time highs as well. So lots to address, lots to debunk, because big claims have been made, and a lot of people are actually backing this guy. He's got 300k subscribers for a reason, 311,000 subscribers for a reason. He gets dozens of thousands of views per video. 80,000 views, nearly 100,000 views in this video here. Lots of likes. People are agreeing with him left, right, and center. And I'm going to be addressing the claims from start to finish. So let's start off. So Steve from Crypto Crew, I'll just call him Steve for the sake of the video, for the sake of clarity, is predicting Bitcoin's going to top out at 79k in this bull market. And he's predicting this bull market top is going to come between late 2024 and early 2025. Now, there's a lot of that deviates from traditional cyclical theory. Okay, and I'm a big proponent in traditional cyclical theory. Of course, I've leaned my predictions heavily in the past on 4-year cycle. It's why I've been able to predict very accurately the 2021 all-time high and also the 2020 bear market for the times I've been on crypto YouTube. It's why I was able to predict that this mid-cycle trough here in 2021 in July was not the actual bear market when a lot of people were thinking it was. It's why I was predicting a second leg. There's a lot of reasons why I trust the 4-year cycle, but the fundamental reason is that it's a date range trend triggered by the halving, which is a fundamental event that lines up with the presidential cycle theory, which is kind of, giving it a link to traditional markets. It's got many roots in strong foundations. And also, it's a date range trend based on 5 separate micro trends. You know, whether that be days from top to top, days from bottom to bottom, days from top to bottom, days from bottom to top, days from bottom to halving. These are all micro trends that build up the larger trend. And the 4-year cycle itself, and the way I've drawn out the 4-year cycle trend, you know, as perhaps one of the most strong proponents of 4-year cycle theory on crypto YouTube, as the person who debunked Benjamin Cohen's lengthening cycles theory in 2021 and stood against it publicly and got backlash for it by Benjamin Cohen himself, but was proven correct. As someone who's, you know, supported the 4-year cycle through all of this, I see the 4-year cycle as the strongest trend that Bitcoin has, not only because it's backed on TA, but also because it's backed in fundamentals, by the halving, by presidential cycles, by various other things. The 4-year cycle predicts a top in October 2025. So for me, this is just debunking the date range part of Steve's trend, of Steve's 5.3, I guess you could say, predictions. You know, for me, when I hear someone saying that Bitcoin will top out at any time other than October 2025, I see someone who is just ignoring the cyclical trends. And for me, the cyclical trend is the strongest trend you have on Bitcoin. So when Steve says, I'm trusting the trends, I'm trusting the data, and he claims that Bitcoin will top out in 2024 or early 2025, you know, months before the 4-year cycle suggests, I don't see someone who's trusting the data there. I see someone who's trusting a specific trend that is contrarian, that goes against the main trend, and the main trend being the 4-year cycle. Now, I understand why Steve has come to the conclusion that Bitcoin could be topping out in late 2024, because what he's predicting is a 79k Bitcoin. We'll get into how he says that in a second. But he's predicting a 79k Bitcoin. And based on 4-year cycle, okay, Bitcoin should be reaching new all-time highs probably around November 2024, right? And of course, 79k is only slightly above 69k, which is the all-time high. So it makes sense how he says if Bitcoin's going to reach 79k, it will reach it just barely after it reaches 69k, and therefore that will be in late 2024. But he's kind of ignoring the fact that that's based on the 4-year cycle, not based on his 5.3 trend. So he's saying that Bitcoin's going to follow the 4-year cycle all the way up perfectly until late 2024, but then it's going to randomly deviate based on the idea that, you know, traditional markets sometimes go sideways for 10 years at a time, when there's no real evidence to suggest that it should do that now. And he's also at the start of his video claimed that people's predictions about the S&P 500 have been massively wrong in the last year, as we've seen one of the most strong years in the S&P 500 in like 40 years, while everyone was saying it was going to be bearish. So you can see just kind of the subtle contradictions that underlie his arguments. You know, I'll just recap what I said there before I even get into his predictions themselves, because I actually do think his formulas hold some weight, don't get me wrong. But he said that Bitcoin is going to top out at 79k in late 2024. Now, that prediction is predicated on date range trends that are part of the 4-year cycle. So he's using the 4-year cycle to his advantage when it suits him, and he's not using the 4-year cycle to his advantage when it doesn't suit him. And this is the first problem with the trend. The second problem is he thinks Bitcoin's going to go into a 10-year sideways cycle, or whatever it's called, sideways bear market, I suppose, because we wouldn't go to an all-time high ever again if we trusted his trend. We'll get into this now, I think, because it's an appropriate time to get into it, as we've just made a claim there that wouldn't make sense to people who don't know what the foundations of his claims are. So let's get into that before I start confusing you even further. What is Steve predicting? How is Steve coming to this prediction? Again, 79k, late 2024, roughly. That's what he's predicting. How does he come to 79k? Okay, he comes to 79k by taking data from previous cycles, dividing it by 5.3, and applying that data to the next cycle, right? So, for example, 2011 to 2013, the gain we saw on Bitcoin was roughly 60,000. If we take the number 60,000, so 60,000%, and we divide that by 5.3, all right, what we'll get is a number, 11,000. And we can see that in doing that, we've got a number 11,000. If we found out where the 2015 low was, we could take that number 11,000, extrapolate it to the upside, and see that it perfectly predicts, or roughly predicts, the next cyclical high. All right, so 11,000 predicting the next cyclical high, roughly. All right, then we can go ahead and see from the 2018 bottom to the 2021 top, and we also had a data point over here. We could do the same thing, right? I'm just moving forward because there's no point spending too much time on it. We can see that we predicted that it came to a total gain of the bull market from the bear market bottom of 2,100%. If we divide 2,100% by 5.3, we can see that that gives us a number which is around 400%. And if we assume the bottom was 15K, which I think is a very reasonable assumption to make, and we add 400% to that, we can see that Bitcoin will reach 79,000. So basically what he's done, and I've skipped some data points here because it's just not worth spending time on it. It's a very valid trend. I do actually think the trend is very much worth looking at. I'm not discounting the trend at all. There's nothing to discount. It's objectively real. There is a trend that if we take the gain from bottom to top in previous cycles, we divide that number by 5.3 and we apply it from the bottom to the next cycle, we can project perfectly where the high will be. Now, all he's done is he's extrapolated it further, and he said that Bitcoin is going to reach 79K in the next cycle based on that trend. There's no inherent problem with that on surface level. There's only problems once you look into it further. So he thinks Bitcoin's going to reach 79K in probably late 2024, potentially early 2025. And that's his prediction. Now, what is the problem with this number, 79K? Few problems. First problem, when we break all-time high on Bitcoin historically, because it's only a little bit above the all-time high. The all-time high is at 69K. It's only 10% above all-time high. When we break all-time highs historically, we don't just stop, okay? We go parabolic. That's when the bull market actually starts. If you look at the previous cycles, you look at what's been happening when we've broken all-time highs. We had the all-time high here, 1,200. When we broke that level, we suffered some brief resistance there. We stopped seeing red monthly candles. We simply saw the strongest monthly candle we saw throughout the entirety of the bear market all the way since the last bull market. We went parabolic after that happened. Same thing in 2019, 2020. Okay, all-time high was over here. When we broke the all-time high, we went parabolic. You don't just stop once you break an all-time high historically. And this is something that's objectively true throughout all measures of TA. You don't just stop. It's not how it works. You go higher. Now, he's obviously taking a contrarian view and saying that, everyone believes we're going to go higher, therefore we're not. In fact, he spent a pretty large amount of time at the start of his video basically making the claim that the majority is always wrong, and the majority is expecting 100K plus on Bitcoin, and here's why they're wrong. That's the claim he made. Now, I have a massive problem with the whole idea that the majority is always wrong, not because it's fundamentally incorrect, but because of two reasons. First and foremost, the majority of people is not the majority of capital. So saying the majority is always wrong is actually a very loose statement. And second of all, it's actually very, very difficult to measure what the majority thinks. Because every single space you will try to measure it in is a biased space. If I do a poll on my YouTube community page, and I say, where do you think Bitcoin's going to go? Based on what I've said in my videos, that poll's going to be biased. So you can't actually accurately measure what the majority thinks about Bitcoin going to 100K. Probably the vast majority of people don't even know, because they don't even look at Bitcoin chart. They probably don't even have TradingView installed. They probably just buy Bitcoin and don't even look at it. They don't even know what Bitcoin is probably, fundamentally. And second of all, as I said, even if the majority of people believe Bitcoin is going to above 100K, which I think I'd be willing to concede that, based on what I've seen, the fact of the matter is the majority of people is not the majority of capital. The majority of people, what they think, doesn't really matter, because the majority of people, retail in this case, doesn't have control of the majority of capital. And it's the majority of capital that drives the market, not the sheer number of people. The market doesn't care how many people are involved. The market cares how much money's in the market, right? So the whole majority is always wrong obsession that goes around in cryptocurrency. The majority is always wrong, therefore I'm right. It's like the majority is always wrong except when I'm the majority. It's a ridiculous argument to make, because it's a very subjective argument, and it's very subjective to to bias. Very subject to bias, I should say. Again, one more time, the majority of people is not the majority of capital. Okay, so it's very difficult to get a good example, a good perspective on what the majority of capital is doing. Perhaps you can get a perspective on the majority of people, which I'm actually not convinced of. But even if you do, how are you going to get a perspective on the majority of capital? It's just not as simple as people make it seem. So the argument is his whole argument in general, his whole prediction, 79K in late 2024, that's for top. That whole thing is fundamentally predicated on the majority is always wrong, as well as fundamentally predicated on the 5.3 trend, which is a valid trend, but I'll say this, and I don't know if I've said this yet, I might have. If Bitcoin goes to 79K in this cycle and tops out, right, and it continues to follow the 5.3 trend after this, we will never see an all-time high on Bitcoin ever again. Okay? Because if we take 400, which is the supposed gain from top to bottom this cycle that reaches 79K, and we divide that by 5.3 one more time, that gives us 74% on Bitcoin. We will never see an all-time high on Bitcoin again. right? And this is where we get into what he said about Bitcoin reaching a 10-year bear market type thing, right? He understands that we will never see an all-time high on Bitcoin again. He understands this trend has to break. He's admitting the trend is unsustainable. He's just taking it a step further and saying, oh, instead of this trend breaking, we're going to break the 4-year cycle and we're going to enter a 10-year bear market. Now, in my opinion, I see that as a ridiculous claim. You know, you have to really look at these claims on face value here, right? What claim is more obscene, right? Obscene's perhaps wrong. What claim is more unbelievable? The claim I'm making that Bitcoin will continue to follow the 4-year cycle trend, right? Which is backed by not only fundamentals, but also the charts, right? And a lot more charts than his claim is. Or his claim that Bitcoin will break the 4-year cycle, right? Because of a trend that he admits is unsustainable. He admits the trend is unsustainable, but he's taking it further. He's saying that trend won't break. The 4-year cycle will break, and we will enter a decade-long sideways market just after an ETF approval that will allow massive amounts of money to come into Bitcoin for the first time ever. You know, just years after countries have been adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, now is when we're going to enter massive decade-long bear markets. What is the more obscene claim? You know, I see it personally as his claim being more obscene, especially considering his claim relies on the 4-year cycle in certain components. This brings me back to what I was saying before at the start of the video. He's relying on the 4-year cycle in terms of why he thinks Bitcoin will top out in 2024, because he knows that the 4-year cycle or parts of the 4-year cycle suggest that Bitcoin will be topping out, right, or reaching all-time highs around the end of 2024, and 79K is not far from the all-time high. So again, he's relying on the 4-year cycle, on micro trends that build up the 4-year cycle when it's convenient, and he's not when it's not. You know, he's ignoring the fact that using this chart here, we can perfectly see this chart displays the last 3 cycles on Bitcoin from their all-time high to a break of their all-time high. We can perfectly see that we are pretty much on track. We're pretty much very much consistent with what we've done in the previous cycles. And we're very much on track with the previous cycles in terms of percentage gain, whatever it may be, dates, etc., days from all-time high drawdown to new all-time high. We're very much on track with previous cycles. The structure looks very similar to previous cycles. He's ignoring the fact that all of this could realistically just be indicating that the 4-year cycle is happening as usual. And he's saying that, no, this is all just a fake out. And what we're actually going to see is Bitcoin randomly top out at 79K and then go downwards from there at a part in the cycle that is not predicted by 4-year cycle. Basically, just because no one expects this to happen, it's going to happen. That's what he's saying. No one expects this to happen. We have a trend backing for it, therefore it's going to happen. But I don't think that's a solid argument. Now, I'm not saying that the foundations of his argument are incorrect. They're not. You cannot debunk the 5.3 trend that has occurred. You cannot take away the validity from the claim that there is a very strong, not a very strong chance, but there is a considerable chance that we could be facing some strong headwinds at 79K in order to break out of this trend, okay? You can't debunk that. You also need to be looking at 79K because we know that this trend has been present throughout the entirety of the Bitcoin's lifespan. So we need to be looking at 79K as a potential rejection zone. We can't just ignore it completely. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying what's more likely. And I'm also saying when it comes to TA, when it comes to trading, when it comes to investing, we need to trust the most supported trend because there's trends everywhere. We can find trends wherever we want to find them. We need to trust the one that is the most supported. What trend is more supported? The number, dividing the number by 5.3 every cycle, that leads to this cycle here. We will only go 10% above the all-time high and then go downwards for 10 years based on basically a lot of subjective claims, not really any objective data really involved in that. You know, in terms of a 10-year sideways, 10-year bear market, not really much, validity coming from past observations when it comes to Bitcoin only going a little instant bit above its all-time high. Not really much fundamental analysis involved when it comes to Bitcoin getting an ETF approval, for the first time, spot ETF approval, and that's just going to do nothing to Bitcoin apparently, and we're just going to go sideways. What's more supported? That or the 4-year cycle trend backed by presidential cycle theory, backed by 5 micro trends, backed by halving having an effect on Bitcoin price action? What's more supported? And that's what it really comes down to. When you're trading, when you're investing, you need to trust the supported trend. And guess what? There's going to be absolutely no problem with us taking his trend seriously and analyzing it as the time comes. we can simply sell our Bitcoin if we actually do face headwind at 79K and we actually do go downwards from there. We can simply change our opinion, sell our Bitcoin, we won't lose any money. But if he sells at 79K and we skyrocket to 100K, he's missed out on 30% gain. This is the problem. Not only is our 4-year cycle more supported, but us believing in it is also a lot more low risk, right? Because we won't be subjected to missing out on so much returns like he will. So I think that on the surface level, his predictions certainly make sense. I certainly don't think his date predictions make sense in any regard whatsoever. I don't think there's any evidence whatsoever at all that points to Bitcoin seeing a 10-year sideways or bear market. There's literally nothing on the Bitcoin chart that suggests that. He's just using random observations on traditional markets to come to that conclusion. But in terms of his number, 79K, yeah, that makes sense. There are trends that suggest we could be reaching a 79K top. But again, it goes back to the fact that his whole argument is built on inconsistencies. His argument is built on trusting the 4-year cycle or trends that make up the 4-year cycle in some areas and not doing it in other areas. And his whole argument is based on trusting the majority is always wrong, which we know is a very difficult claim to make because we don't know what the majority is, and we don't know if the majority of capital is the same as the majority of people. And it's based on trusting a trend that is weaker than another trend that we have, which is the 4-year cycle. So, he's admitting the trend is unsustainable. He's literally admitting that. He's saying that in saying we're going to see a 10-year bear market or a 10-year sideways market, he is literally agreeing with me that his basis for prediction is unsustainable. But he's just taking it a step further and saying, but, everything's going to collapse and it's all going to be different this time. Instead of, accepting that the trend is your friend until it ends, which is a fundamental rule of investing. So I don't know. Look, I'm not sitting here and I'm not judging him as an analyst. I'm certainly not doing that. I'm just judging the actual prediction itself. And again, I do think it holds some weight. And I certainly will be looking at that 79K number with a massive degree of attention because I understand how trends work and I understand this trend is real. But I'm not taking it as seriously as he is. And I'm not making any further predictions like he is. I'm not making the 10-year bear market prediction like he is, which is based on absolutely nothing. So guys, look, I hope you don't take this video as me attacking him because I'm not. Again, I'm taking him very seriously. And I'm not necessarily analyzing him. I'm analyzing the prediction that he's made. I'm analyzing the data on the screen. So you can honestly remove his name from any of this and it will still be relevant because it's a trend that is relevant. It's a real trend. So I hope you made it through the video. Watch the whole thing. Let me know what you think down below. I'm open to hear what you guys think about it. But yeah, thanks for watching. I think I'll end it there. As I said, guys, we've got a VIP sale right now. Go ahead and check out the VIP group. That sale is going to be ending on the 1st of January, limited time there. We've also got a couple of exchanges for you. If you need an exchange to trade and buy and sell cryptocurrency, you can use Bitget or Bingx. Bingx is global non-KYC. Bitget is global KYC minus the USA. So depending on your preferences or geographical location, you can choose an exchange there. Both of which have my referral links down below for 15% trading fee discount on top of already very low trading fees. And also, if they've never been hacked before, they've got protection funds in case there is a hack. I've handpicked these exchanges for a reason, so go ahead and check them out. And then also, Crypto Academy, you want to learn how to trade, this is the place you can do it. Get some trading skills, learn how to analyze markets, charts, learn how to find trades, market psychology information, everything you need is on here. The email address is down below. Sorry, the website link is down below, and the email address is on the website. Again, VIP group sale. A couple of exchanges there, referral links down below, and Crypto Academy if you want to learn how to trade. Guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.